think we need to talk.
When we touch, shake those boots. Assess our limits.
It's the same as it was for all the others. One will live, and one will die.
The universe keeps pushing us together.
The universe keeps pulling us apart.
Hey guys, what is up? My name is BobaTalks, and here's my little video about Cloak and Dagger and why I think you should be watching it, or just more or less first impressions video. I do a few of these sometimes for shows that I like and I feel that some people aren't watching, or you may not know about, and once maybe watching this video you may think, like, another show to watch, yay. So I know I don't do a lot of Marvel content on this channel, but one thing I've heard frequently in live streams, or you know, just in the comment section, saying, are you going to be watching Cloak and Dagger, are you going to be doing this, blah blah blah, Cloak and Dagger, Cloak and Dagger. And I was like, what is this show, Cloak and Dagger? I wasn't really familiar with those characters at all, Cloak and Dagger, but what I did decide to do is check out the trailer, and that looked pretty cool, so I decided to give it a go, episode 1 and 2, and I was like, yes, like, what is it with Marvel TV shows that I really enjoy so much? Now, saying that I prefer them, I'm just saying there's definitely an element that really appeals to me, and I think that is the tone of these shows, and I feel like they're just a little bit more serious. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know exactly what I mean if I give you the comparison of Daredevil to The Flash.
What the hell?
Or Supergirl to the, I don't know, Jessica Jones. It's a different feel, and Cloak and Dagger isn't exactly one of the Netflix, you know, Marvel shows, but it is still, you know, that kind of realism with superpowers still, and that's what I feel so attracted to with it. So obviously this show surrounds the two characters, Cloak and Dagger, Tandy Bowen, if I remember correctly, and Tyrone Johnson, and they're kind of linked for this tragedy that happened in childhood. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but obviously this tragedy is like the beginning point of everything that sprouts in this show, and the first episode does a really good job of doing, you know, modern day you know, scenes and stuff like that, and then flashbacks to that origin of what created Cloak and Dagger, essentially. Now, one thing that I think really appeals to me in this show is it's one of those shows that doesn't splurt action in your face all the time. Now, this is what I would think. At the same time, some people would say this show has maybe a little bit of a pacing problem, or maybe some people have tried to watch it and may find it boring. Now, I'm not saying that at all. Do not be scared of this show, but I just looked up some reviews and stuff like that, and wanted to see what other people had thought of it. But I feel like this show, now don't get me wrong, like any show, obviously it surrounds storytelling, but this really surrounds development with not so much action all the time. Now, a lot of people in the shows, for example the CW shows, or if you're a big fan of the CW shows, obviously you get quite a lot of action fixes rather than a lot of development consistently throughout the show. So that is why I can imagine some people who watch these shows, even like the Netflix shows, I mean there is quite a bit of action in those, but there's quite a lot of talking, quite a lot of, you know, explaining the situation between the characters, quite a lot of, yeah, what I would just say development. And then when you get the really cool bits, like for example when Dagger's power starts activating, you're like, oh my god, that looks really cool. And that's one thing I would say as well, is it's one of those shows that whenever they do display the effects and the powers, you're just I don't know, you feel so much more rewarded when you get it, rather than all the freaking time. Granted, that would be really cool as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they translate all of these powers and develop the characters. But Tyrone, for example, Cloak, he has the ability to actually witness people's fears, because he's been living in a world of fear ever since losing his brother. And they've actually done a very good job at showing this in the show, because they also have, you know, you contrast with Dagger, and she has sort of kind of this light power, which is obviously the complete opposite of Tyrone's dark kind of energy that kind of engulfs and allows him to teleport. Dagger can actually access people's hopes, and in the show, in the first episode or the second episode I believe, they have a couple of instances. Obviously they're discovering their powers and they're like, what the hell is going on, where they have these kind of visions and they don't know what it means. But also she has a kick-ass power, as what I've mentioned, of using light daggers, I believe they're called, and they look freaking awesome, and I can't wait to see these two harness or hone their powers even more to the point where we might get a little bit more action, but not that I'm saying that is required at all, because I'm really enjoying the in-between parts. Also, as much as I'm fascinated with Dagger as well, I love how Tyrone's cloak, his powers stem from apparently the Dark Force dimension. For example, when you see him teleport and just how it is powers engulf people in darkness and whatnot, it's really weird. And I looked up a bit of the Dark Force dimension as well, and supposedly it is this kind of extra dimensional energy that can obviously be manipulated. However, the Dark Force energy as well supposedly has been hinted that it can be slightly corruptive, so maybe we're going to see Cloak struggle throughout the season with his powers, and that would be really cool. It's quite cliche sometimes for maybe some people when they get power, and kind of like the dark side in Star Wars, you know, once you go down that path forever, will it dominate your future kind of thing. But obviously that's not going to happen, but he may struggle with it. And also, so I looked it up and it's really cool. Some people think that maybe it might be like a sentient kind of energy, so it actually isn't just something, yeah, you can manipulate it, but it's like how some people in Star Wars debate whether the fact that the Force is also a living thing, this cruel thing that actually is deciding all of these events, if you look at it that way.
I heard Yoda talking about midichlorians. I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
I don't know, that's just a weird random thought if you're watching the show as well. These characters at the same time have a lot of issues I can imagine loads and loads of people can relate with. Both have this kind of connected tragedy of an origin in their own ways. For example, as I said, Tyrone lost his brother and Tandy lost her father, and as a result her mother basically became quite obsessed with a court case of trying to, you know, figure out what happened to her father and stuff like that, but as a result as well has resulted to substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, and Tandy even struggles a little bit with that herself, apparently in the first couple of episodes. These two characters have their own individual stories that they're pursuing and stuff like that, and it's just, yeah, I don't know, I feel like, for example, a CW superhero show, as serious and as fun as they are at the same time, they wouldn't show this necessarily in their shows, and that is, stuff like this, really superpowers but in a very, very real setting, really is what I find amazing about shows like this.
Oh my god. What?
I can't save us this time.
Now, interestingly as well, in the comics, apparently Dagger can cure certain people of their addictions, and I'm wondering if this will relate to her mother. This is just a prediction, just a random throw-in. If any of you are watching the show already, I wonder if they'll start to do that as she starts to learn a bit more about her powers. This is the stuff about the show, even though you can look in the comics and everything like that, same with any other show, The Flash, you never know what they're going to quite do or do differently, and what stories they're really going to develop. I think basically why I'm trying to make this video is because I didn't really know too much about it. I saw it and I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I will be watching all 10 episodes because I believe it'll be running from, yeah, the start of June to the beginning of August. 10 episodes. I'm fairly confident. I mean, I could be wrong. It's only 2 episodes in, but just through the feel and the vibe of this show, I know we've still got quite a few episodes to go, so it could go horribly wrong for all I know. It probably, I can't see how it wouldn't get another season, and that is so premature to say, I know, but you just know sometimes that, you know, when something's good. Other than that, everybody, that was just my video saying to check it out. It's a really cool show. I'm really excited for future episodes. As I said, I think my main appeal, or what attracts me most to the show, is, well, everything I said, but also just the fact that I think it's probably like a 15 and above, whereas like the CW shows are usually, I think, like a 12 plus. So they get to do a lot more things that I guess that attract adult audiences, kind of like myself. Not to say that I do not like The Flash at all. Like, it's actually my favorite CW show usually outside of season 4. But yeah, it's something different. It's kind of like, you know what I mean with the comparison I said with the Netflix shows of like Daredevil and The Punisher. Not quite on that level, not like an 18 or anything, but you get what I mean. It's like between what I said with the Flash, the CW shows, and the Netflix shows. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it, as it really does show your support for the channel. Let me know if you've been watching Cloak and Dagger, of course, in the comments down below, and let me know what you think of it as a whole. Subscribe for more videos like this on nerdy and geeky content, and who knows, let me know if you want me to do any more Cloak and Dagger reviews, and let me know exactly what kind of videos. Be sure to check out the video description as well. All my links are in there, such as social media. I recommend following me on Twitter and Instagram. Do consider supporting supporting me on Patreon as well, as it really does help out the channel and helps just fuel this content that I bring to you. But other than that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.